let's get this Inside Impact review done. This is the first ever review I'm going to be doing of TNA Impact, and we're going to be reviewing the 10th of March edition of TNA. It was a pretty good edition. I mean, just the average TNA edition. Of course, it was from Fayetteville, North Carolina, like last week. And coming off from last week, it was interesting to see how they was going to do it, because, you know, Sting is the world champion. And we found out last week that Hulk Hogan has 100% control over the company. So we started off with Sting coming out, cutting a promo, thanking various things, you know, thanking the fans for being there, blah, blah, blah. And he puts over Jeff Hardy, saying that he's the greatest he's faced, which is quite nice. But I don't know why he's putting over a heel. I mean, unless Hardy's going to turn face, but I doubt it. So I didn't understand that. Immortal interrupted. Hogan talks about how Sting knew who they was from the beginning, and saying that he quit because, you know, he left after Bound for Glory for a bit, if you remember, with Nash. Sting defends himself, explains his reasons as to why he left, because he didn't want to see the direction of TNA the way it was going, so it kind of made sense. Then Mr. Anderson comes out, does this same asshole gimmick thing, saying he wants a rematch for the TNA title, he deserves it, etc, etc. You know, just same old Mr. Anderson. He feels like he's getting conned out of a title match, and of course he just wants his rematch, which he had, but he just wants another one. Then Jeff Hardy comes out, says how he was robbed from the title because he didn't know who he was going to face in, and the network screwing him and Immortal over, blah blah blah. And just the kind of things you would expect from Jeff Hardy to say. And then Rob Van Dam interrupts and mentions his match against Hardy a couple of weeks ago, saying about how, you know, it was unfair. He had Mr. Anderson, especially against referee, blah blah blah. Then Hogan cuts in, because Hogan and Bischoff are in the ring at this time. He says that what he says goes on in this company, he owns it, blah blah blah. And then Bischoff cuts in on Hogan and says the main event tonight will be Mr. Anderson, Jeff Hardy vs RVD and Sting. You know, this main event didn't really capture my eye, so I wasn't really too stoked for the main event. Then the opener was the Pope vs Samoa Joe. This was a typical match, nothing special. Joe received a really good pop at the beginning with "Joe's gonna kill you" chants echoing throughout the arena. The Pope comes through the crowd, wraps a chain from his neck around his fist and punches Joe's, you know, camera dude, I can't remember his name. Joe then, as soon as the Pope gets in the ring, Joe brings the pain quickly, raining down with fists, blah blah blah. They fight back and forth for a bit. The ending was that Pope was in the corner, took off the padding. The referee goes over to put the padding back on. The Pope wraps his chain on Fritz as he swarms over to the corner. Joe puts him on top of the rope for the muscle buster. The Pope hits Joe with the chain, resulting in a 1-2-3, and the Pope picking up the victory. Like I said, nothing special, just your typical mediocre match. The next bit is Bully Ray's in the parking lot. He threw a challenge earlier to Dreamer, saying that if he wants to fight him in the parking lot, he'll be there. But then Devon attacks Bully Ray, getting his revenge. You know, throwing him into the truck numerous amount of times, raining fists down, saying, you know, what you did to my son's unexpected, blah blah blah. You know what you expect from Devon. Then Devon starts beating Bully Ray with the chain, punching him, whipping him, and that Dreamer steps in, stops beating Devon before he can use a sledgehammer that he picked out back of a truck, which I guess this kind of like gets Dreamer involved now, but I don't think Dreamer needs to get involved. Then the security guard comes out to check on Bully Ray, and Bully Ray just flips out the security guard, saying that you don't touch him, and he starts beating down the security guard, whipping him with a chain. He picked up a guard round, slammed it on, which was pretty cool. Next match was the street fight, Ric Flair vs Matt Hardy vs AJ Styles. Ric Flair actually come out in, you know, quite smart clothes, which I thought was a bit stupid. Flair starts off by cutting a promo to AJ about how he's in Flair country, aka North Carolina. AJ says like you're in the house that AJ Styles built, and Ric Flair comes back saying, no, this is Flair country, I own you. He says that he fertilised North Carolina. There's a bit of a joke there. Hardy tells AJ about his past in wrestling, about, you know, the demons that do wrestling. Then AJ punches Hardy and the match begins. Flair steps to the outside, and then just as Matt Hardy starts to regain himself and get back at AJ, then Flair steps in the ring. AJ applies to figure four to Ric Flair later on in the match, but Hardy breaks up with a leg drop from the top rope to AJ, which was pretty cool. There are both three guys on the outside. AJ Styles smashes Ric Flair's head into the apron, forcing Ric Flair to bleed. Hardy picks out a trash can from underneath the ring that's using on AJ, sorry. There's actually some good weapons used in this match, you know, chairs, there's a ladder eventually, there's a trash can. Matt Hardy picks up a ladder from underneath the ring, hits AJ with it, kind of like a clothesline with a ladder. The ending was that AJ hits the Pele to Matt Hardy. He's going for the what's it called? Their styles clash, and then Ric Flair comes up behind and gives him the low blow. Hardy then delivers the twist of fate onto a chair. Then Flair goes over and pins AJ for the win. I thought this was a weird but okay stream match. I'm going to say Ric Flair picked up the victory, which is kind of don't understand that. Next match was Generation Me vs Inc. His was just your typical TV match, nothing special to mention. It was pretty mediocre to say the least. Big Money come out to do some commentary. Nothing really much happened. Max tags himself in a couple of times and Jeremy was not looking pressed. That could be kind of like the end of Generation Me eventually, because they are going to be fighting in a fatal 4-way at Victory Road, so that'll be interesting. Jesse Neal gets the hot tag from Shannon Moore, cleans house. One of the really cool ending, Jesse Neal sitting on top of the top turnbuckle. Matt vaults Jeremy in the air, but Jesse Neal comes down and spears him from the top. Shannon Moore comes in, gets rid of Max, and then Inking does a finishing move for the win. And Inking picked up the victory, and they cut a promo to talk 10 beer money. They come for the belts. Now, before we got to the main event, Sting was cutting a promo with JB. The Mr.Anderson interrupted and beat up Sting, so Sting wasn't able to turn up for his match. So it was meant to be Mr. Anderson, Jeff Hardy vs RVD and Sting, but for the time being it was Mr. Anderson, Jeff Hardy vs RVD. This match didn't get much time, not much to comment on to be fair. Sting a no-show of course due to Hardy, so RVD's on his own. Anderson, there's a bit funny because Anderson slapped Hardy around the head for the tag, and then Hardy slapped Anderson on the chest to get him to tag in. So it's kind of a bit, so they're not forming alliance, as if people didn't get on their head. Hardy hits the twist of fate. Then Anderson, some reason, stops the count from Hebner. Then the place goes pitch black. Sting's music plays. It's pitch black for about a good 10 to 15 seconds. Then you see Sting in the ring, starts beating down on Mr. Anderson, gives a Scorpion Death Drop. RVD goes to the top rope, hits the 5-star frog splash, and RVD and Sting pick up the victory. And you see Sting do his little handshake with RVD, and you end it with RVD and Sting both in the middle of the ring. So yeah, this was a decent edition of Impact. Nothing too special to mention. I wouldn't say this is an Impact you must see, but yeah, thanks for watching and peace out.